All right, so I think I'm in. I hate this thing because it never like gives me any sort of notification. But anyway, so I was speaking to someone earlier concerning nonprofits, and I went looking for a video that I had made last year, and I knew I had it, and I found it, and ended up going down a bit of a rabbit hole because it appears that the video was taken down, or I don't know, something happened. Facebook blurred it out. It's crazy. I've never seen it before. It's never happened with any of my other videos. I just wanted to show you kind of what it looks like. Um, Scroll up. Here we go. Thought this was kind of interesting. There we go. The live is really. All right, so this is the video. This is the video, and you can see here that it's all blurry. It's all blurry. I don't know how that's possible. It won't let me download it. Nothing. The other thing that was really weird about this is in the video, just like all my videos, I always put up the links that I use for the video, so people don't know I'm just BSing, right? Um, this is the link, and what I was discussing was just all the different types of nonprofits, right? So you click the link, and look, doesn't go anywhere. So what I had to do was is I had to actually go out to the Wayback Machine to find the website again so I can discuss it here. So this isn't the Wayback Machine. This is as of October 13th, 2019, so it's fairly recent. And what you're looking at is a list of all of the different types of uh, nonprofits. And these are 501c3s. I'll do another video another day talking about the different types of nonprofits. I'm going to keep this one fairly short and simple. But there's a list, okay? And of course, I'll include again this link for the Wayback Machine so you can see all these because it is really, really long. A lot of people ask me a lot of times, well, what kind of nonprofit can I create? And what I always tell them is, well, it depends on your finances, depends on where you spend your money. The idea is to figure out how much you spend and on what, and then figure out a way to make that money non-taxable, right? So for some people, they may mean needing a trust. Some it may mean needing a nonprofit. For some, it may mean needing a corporation or a partnership or whatever. You never know, okay? So everyone is different. But I just wanted to make sure you understood just how many different types of nonprofits were available. I did a video before about churches. I may put that one in the description. I don't know, but this is a mail order church. All right. Um, I want to get to some of the more interesting ones. I think they're further at the bottom. Let me scroll down. Spent too much time on this. I wanted to go through quickly with you how to actually apply for this thing. Just so you know, it's $275, and then to register with the state, it's typically $25. There may be some states that charge a little more, but 25 is the typical price for registering a nonprofit with the state. You'll also want to make sure that when you do this, after you get your letter from the IRS, you go back to the state and you file for exemption from any sort of state taxes, whether it be excise or franchise or income or whatever it may be. You'll need that letter from the IRS in order to get that done. But you'll need to register with the state first before you apply for non-taxable status or tax exempt status rather with the IRS. I blew this up for. So see some of this stuff. So educational wild bird animal sanctuary. you know, um, community land use plan, sponsoring young musical artists. I mean, this is something, and it says a nonprofit organization which encourages and promotes the advancement of young musical artists by conducting weekly workshops, sponsoring public concerts by the artists, securing paid engagements for artists to improve their professional standing. So, again, I mean, if you are someone who is in the music industry, or you have friends or family or anyone that's in music, this may be something for you, right? Career planning and occupational adjustment. This is a big one. Aiding needy in developing countries. I have a lot of clients that are immigrants to the states, and so they send a lot of money back home. And so the first thing I tell them is, well, you need a nonprofit, because as of right now, the money that you're sending back home is not going to be tax deductible. Once you have a nonprofit, all of a sudden, the money that you're sending back home is going to be tax deductible for you. Let's see if we can find a couple more, and I'll be done with this. Scholarships, of course, fraternities. I had a client a while back who owns a barn. And just as a joke, people always joke with me and say, well, is that tax? Is that a write-off? And 9 times out of 10, my answer is usually yes. I mean, anything you can imagine can be written off in one way or another. And so for her, she said that it was a barn, and they used it primarily just for friends to come over, and they would hang out and watch sports or whatever. And I said, well, that sounds like a fraternity to me. She said, well, we own the goat. The goat helped keep the grass down right around the barn or whatever. And I was like, okay, well, there you go. Maybe that's the mascot. I don't know. But the point is, it's a social club. That's what you're doing. You're socializing, and it's as simple as that, right? And so a fraternity is a social club. I have a bunch of other ones. You'll have to go down this list yourself. I mean, you can kind of see the scroll bar over here. I mean, it's huge. Counseling men on voluntary sterilization methods. An organization that provides free counseling to men concerning methods of voluntary sterilization, assisting them in obtaining sterilization operations. So, all this stuff, film festivals. It's too many to even talk about, and that's the reason why a lot of times I get questions, and it's like it's too much to even discuss. I mean, it's a lot easier, honestly, for me to look through the finances and then to make a decision based on that, because it's way too much to even talk about. So anyway, so that's that. All right. How do you do this? Very quickly, you simply go out to this website. Okay. Pay.gov is where it happens. Okay. Now, okay, all right, cool. Now, you'll have to create an account, okay? Once you have the account, then you will actually do this application, all right? So the application streamlines application for recognition of exemption under Section 501c3 of the Internal Revenue Code, all right? And so this is it. It's very simple, very straightforward. As long as you plan on bringing in less than $50,000 in the last 3 years and the next 3 years, then you can use this application. All right. And I want to make sure that you understand that. And I need to maybe blow this up a bit more too. I know things may look big to me and small to you. Here we go. I want to make sure this is understood, because it's another conversation I have with people all the time. Have your annual gross receipts exceeded $50,000 in any of the past 3 years? What that means is that right now is 2020, right? Well, the IRS says that you can have an operating nonprofit for 17, 18, and 19, file the application in 2020, and have those taxable deductions on your previous tax returns. Of course, you probably want to amend those previous tax returns to add those charitable contributions to it, but it is available for you. Okay. And so the rest of this stuff is pretty straightforward. Name, address, phone number, right? Again, we can talk about unincorporated versus incorporated associations and whatnot in another video. All those things are available. The big difference here, I'll tell you, is that you have some nonprofits that are non-taxable, right? Means that any money that they make is not taxed, right? Other nonprofits allow for donations to the nonprofit to be tax deductible from the other person's tax return or from your tax return if you're the one contributing to your own nonprofit. Okay, so that's the difference. But both are really great and have their own benefits. But again, that'll be another video for another day. All right. The rest of this stuff, X, does the 501c3 require to organize not expressly? Yes, of course. I mean, you don't want to do anything that's not going to help in the furtherance of your charitable, whatever. So very simple, very straightforward. I don't think there's really a lot of room to make any mistakes on that first page, and it looks like they're not going to let me go through to the second page without putting stuff in. But I'll tell you, the second page, again, pretty straightforward. You'll be asked whether or not money is going to be going to a foreign country. I'll tell you right now, in my experience, if you say yes to that question, it's going to hold up the processing of your return. They'll want to do an interview with you. The interview is not a big deal. They're just going to ask you what country it is and why you're doing it, and that's all. And you tell them, and they say, okay, and they stamp it. But it just takes a bit longer to get it processed. The process of time can be anywhere between 60 days to 180 days. If you are filing the 1023 form, the long form, not this online $275 form. If you're doing the $600, I'm going to bring in more than $50,000 a year, you can actually file that and then ask for expedition, right? And you can get it expedited and have it processed in a matter of like 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks at the most. And you simply do that by saying that there's a donor, which can be yourself, that wants to donate to the nonprofit, but will only do so if the nonprofit can get its paperwork done by a certain date. So like today is March 5th. I can create a nonprofit right now and say, hey, if we don't get this nonprofit done, Mr. IRS person, by April 5th, then this nonprofit is going to lose their funding. And so the IRS says, okay, well, we don't want that to happen. So you know what? Boom. Stamp this thing and you're good and you're done. And you can have it done, like I said, in a matter of 2 weeks. I've seen it happen faster, honestly. But again, that only happens with the long form, okay? Not with this short online thing. All right, what else are we looking at? Okay, so just real quick, this is, again, just some simple IRS, because I wasn't able to find the same list on the IRS website that I found on the Wayback Machine. What I did find, though, that is current on the IRS website is this list of nonprofits. It's not as detailed, but you have it here. Another thing that I wanted to discuss, forget where it is, here we go, is the limits on deductions. Trump increased the charitable deductions to 60% of your gross income. Many of you know that the tax laws changed back in 2018, took away a lot of different deductions and things like that we were able to take advantage of. And so that has gone away. Okay, so now they took that away, but they also increased the charitable deduction limit. So I say the writing is on the wall, take advantage, right? So 60% of your income can be deducted for charitable purposes, and that can be your own nonprofit that you're donating to, all right? I don't think there's anything else here other than, yeah, these are the types of organizations that you can deduct from, right? And so again, these are just going to be your typical 501c3s. You see here, publicly supported charities defined earlier, right? All right, what's the other thing I wanted to talk about? Oh, just a quick list, and I'll put this in the description as well. of the different types of nonprofits. Okay. Um, and this is the biggest one, the civic leagues and social welfare organizations and local associations of employees. This is a big one. I have a lot of clients that were used to getting the business employee expenses, and those expenses are gone. No longer can you write off business use of home for working from home for your employer. But what you can do is you can create a local association or professional association, which is a 501c3 nonprofit, and any money that goes into it or any expenses from that association, you'll be able to write off either as a corporation business loss or as charitable contributions, again, depending on how much money is actually going into it. Business leagues, social and recreation clubs, fraternity beneficiary societies, domestic fraternal societies, all these different things. Religious, child care organizations. Um, and again, I cannot uh, sing the praises of this document enough because I mean this is everything. Look at this: cruelty to children, held an organization formed to protect children from working at hazardous occupations in violation of state laws and unfavorable work conditions. I mean, anything you can imagine, you can turn into a nonprofit. Um, and I think that's it. I want to talk a little bit about how the nonprofits work and what are the laws concerning it. So it's very straightforward. Any money contributed to the nonprofit cannot benefit you or one particular person. Okay. Now, with that being said, how does anyone know whether or not a nonprofit is benefiting you or another particular person? Well, you have to be audited for that to happen. Okay. Every year I do a video concerning the IRS's data book, which shows exactly what types of organizations and how many of them were audited in any one year. And every single year, and I'm sure it's going to be the same this year or last year rather, that it's the individuals. The individual tax returns is what gets audited the most, right? Nonprofits, partnerships, corporations, they get audited much, much, much less. So you are in a much better position to have more transactions, right, and more activity in another entity other than your personal tax return. Your personal tax return, 1040 EZ. Maybe you got some K1s on there, but there's nothing there. You know what I mean? All of your income and all of your expenses and all that stuff need to be coming from other entities, right? Because those entities are not going to be audited for the most part. So anyway, so that's that. What else? Oh, wanted to also discuss the filing of the nonprofit tax return. Here's another big one, okay? An organization that normally has $50,000 or more in gross receipts has to file the Form 990, right, or the 990 EZ, right? But small organizations whose annual gross receipts are normally less than the threshold, and the threshold is $50,000, only have to do this annual electronic notice. And the annual electronic notice is super simple. It's so simple that if someone pays me to set up a nonprofit, I file this thing for them for free, okay? Because it takes like maybe 5 or 10 minutes, if that. And all you're doing is going in here and saying, hey, I'm still a nonprofit. Yes, I took in less than 50,000 in receipts this year, and that's it. There may be like one other question on there, but that's it. I may have to do it's not. But anyway, so that's it. So you don't have to file a tax return with a nonprofit if you're bringing in less than $50,000 a year. There's no tax return. There's nothing that says I brought in X amount of dollars, I spent X amount on this, I spent X amount on that. There's none of that. None of that. There's no, oh, I helped this person or I did that. None of that. Okay. If you're bringing in less than $50,000 a year, the nonprofit only has to file something that says, hey, I'm still a nonprofit. I brought in less than 50,000, and that's it. Done. No need to go further. And like I said, once you file your exemption with the state, you don't have to file anything with the state either. you're done with the state as well. So again, lots of great benefits. I encourage it. I push people to do it. It's a really great deal. Not to mention, I mean, once you become an incorporated nonprofit, then you get a nonprofit bank account. There's credit cards. There's credit. There's corporate credit with the nonprofits. Um, there's donations that can be received from many corporations. You can file for what do you call it? Oh, I forget the name of it, but anyway, there's organizations that give money to nonprofits every year, right? And you can apply for those grants is what they're called, grants. What else? Oh, if you own property, your property can be tax exempt if you are a nonprofit. I can go on and on. I don't want this to drag on too long. If you have any questions, please reach out. But again, nonprofits, super cheap, super easy, bunch of benefits. Please do it. From me to you.